great reporter Danielle DeCloss is going to be here talking about her reporting. She is the enterprise and investigative reporter at the Capital Times and did this story on Department of Public Instruction in Madison and Dr. Jill Underly, who is the state school superintendent. We talked about this last week. I know our colleagues, Jane Matnair and Greg Bach, along with Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's political editor, spent a large chunk of time on their show on Friday talking about this as well. And if you have not read it, it's a difficult story. It's a well-written, well-researched story, but it's difficult. And it has to do with over 200 cases of teacher sexual misconduct and grooming cases in the public schools, and the fact that the Capital Times did a open records request and received this information, and the fact that many of these people who are investigated simply gave up their license in exchange for not having the investigations go further. Now, the state school superintendent refused, Dr. Jill Underly refused to, I should say declined being part of the story, had her spokesperson talk instead, and the spokesperson said it would be a conflict of interest, quote unquote, for Dr. Underly to be interviewed. And so the article came out, and it's disturbing, certainly, and the DPI's position is that, well, we had over $600,000 in our budget request to the Republican-controlled Joint Finance Committee, the Budget Committee, which was denied. And if we had only had this money to have more people to investigate these things and to process them, they would have seen the light of day. I'm not here to dispute that. But for me, the disturbing part beyond, to me, there's two parts of this. A, the disturbing evidence in these accusations in this story. And then there's the, which I think is, for these purposes, the more concerning part in that Dr. Underly refused to sit for this interview. She has not spoken to media that I know of. And now there is a State Assembly committee meeting on Thursday of this week in which she is being asked to testify and to let's have a conversation about this. And thus far, we do not know whether she's going to attend that. Her lack of transparency to me is deeply disturbing. And as we talked about on this program before, I think a good analogy in terms of how you handle things is the stewardship fund, the Nelson Knowles Stewardship Fund, the conservation program that also requested more money in the state budget and got denied. And they've launched, we've had them on this show, Nature Conservancy and other people have launched a public campaign, have been working with legislators in a bipartisan manner to say, okay, we didn't get it in the budget. How can we do a standalone bill? What is unclear, and so far Dr. Underly has not come forward about this, is if this was the major problem that obviously it is based on the Capital Times reporting, why didn't she, and look, I've been in the building, as they say, in the Capitol. I worked for the Senate Majority Leader. When you have a piece of legislation or something in the budget that doesn't get addressed or doesn't get funded, the people who are good at these things have a press packet ready to go, and you call a press conference, and you get the cameras there, and you say, look, these are the facts. These are the evidence I have. We have a major problem in this state in processing these very disturbing cases to keep our kids safe. I just went in there and asked for over $500,000 to address this, and the Republicans said no, which is their right. But I'm here to tell you what the problem is, and I'm asking for the public's help. I'm asking for bipartisan help in the legislature to find a standalone bill that the governor can sign that we can put more monies into these positions to keep our kids safe and process these cases. And Dr. Underly did not do that. I cleaned my desk this weekend, by the way. I spent four hours. Zomer's his witness, right?
Yes, your efforts paid off. It is very clean now.
Thank you.
At least compared to before. No, it's
wow.
now it is has a normal amount of stuff on it.
Yeah,
it was pretty nested in before.
It was nested. But one of the advantages to having a top-of-desk filing system is that I have, and because, I don't know whether it's because of my dyslexia or whatever it is, if I have an article that I'm going to read from, I read better when I have a piece of paper in my hand. So, yes, I print stuff off every day. I don't just read it off my screen. Some stuff I do, but most of the stuff I print off. And one of the stories that I printed off, this is back from February of 2025. Yes, I had an article from February still sitting on my desk as of this weekend. From the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, headline, State Superintendent skips forum while her challengers take questions on vouchers and more. And it reminded me that this is a person, Dr. Underly, who refused to debate in the election where she got reelected this spring. And it was put on in part by WisPolitics, and WisPolitics president, according to the Journal-Sentinel at the time, Jeff Mayers, said he provided 2 dates to the campaign. Brittany Kinzer, who was the conservative, and Jeff Wright, the fellow progressive, quote, responded right away and chose February 6th. Underly said she had a conflict. Mayers said WisPolitics asked for alternative dates, but her campaign did not provide them. Underly's campaign said she was unavailable to attend because of a University of Wisconsin System Board of Regents meeting. The DPI superintendent, by virtue of their position, serves as a regent. Underly missed at least a part of the board's education meeting that began at 10:30 because she held a 10:30 press conference in Madison to discuss Head Start programs that have been unable to access funding under a freeze issued by President Trump. The Head Start programs goes on to talk about Head Start. The WisPolitics Forum took place from noon until 1, overlapping with the board's scheduled lunch break. Underly's campaign offered no clarity as to why Underly missed at least part of the Board of Regents meeting, but could not skip the board's lunch break. Her campaign referred questions about her to the DPI. The DPI said Underly participated in the press conference because it's important to share the local effects of federal government decisions. A spokesperson said the lunch break allowed the board to eat before continuing the meeting. I mean, that's a half a page in this story about the state school superintendent debate forum, simply making excuses and explaining why Underly not only didn't participate in the board meeting or the forum, but also skipped out on part of her duties to the Board of Regents meeting because she scheduled her own press conference, which she could have had any time. I bring that up now because I think it's important to establish the pattern here. And by the way, when we first started this show, going on 3 years ago, be 3 years next month, Jill Underly came on this program. I don't know, 2 or 3 times. I thought it went well. And then all of a sudden, she just stopped coming on. And to my knowledge, maybe one, we asked her to come on our show last year during the state school superintendent race, and nothing, crickets. She skips the debate to get reelected to her own position. And now, not talking to reporters, and not only that, late Friday, she came out with a statement claiming that the story about how her department conducts investigations is inaccurate and demanded a public correction on an article claiming the Department of Public Instruction had hidden its investigation of 200 cases of sexual misconduct and grooming from school staff. Quote, the reporting is not only incomplete and misleading, it is dangerously irresponsible, unquote. It distorts the nature of the DPI's work in this area, omits crucial legal and procedural facts, and undermines public trust in the same systems designed to protect Wisconsin students, unquote. But yet she doesn't say what that is. By the way, Capital Times editor Mark Taryn told Center Squares from Center Square late Friday afternoon, quote, "We stand by our reporting and expect to have a more complete response by Monday." So Jill Underly's tactic here is to pull a Donald Trump to attack the reporter and the press. I don't know what's up with this person. I think it's disqualifying, quite frankly. We're going to have Danielle DeCloss from the Cap Times on this show in hour number 2.